Welcome to Skytech-Lens. America's northern border is quieter than ever. The once steady stream of Canadian tourists has all but vanished, leaving airports and hotels eerily empty. This isn't a seasonal dip, it's a crisis. Canadian visitors, who made up nearly a quarter of all international arrivals in 2024, have dropped by 40% in 2025, costing billions. The cause? A perfect storm of political tension and economic retaliation. Steep tariffs and a frosty diplomatic climate have turned a friendly neighbor into a wary outsider. Canada's own tariffs sent a clear message. The relationship has changed and Canadians are staying away. The tourism industry, once built on goodwill and open borders, is now on the front lines of this fallout. Experts warn this isn't a blip, it's a long-term fracture in one of the world's most integrated travel markets. The absence of Canadian tourists is more than a statistic, it's a stark symbol of America's eroding soft power. The economic shockwaves are hitting every corner of the travel industry. Airlines have slashed over 300,000 seats on US-Canada routes, with major carriers suspending flights and budget airlines pulling out entirely. Hotels in cities like Orlando, Las Vegas, and New York are reeling. Occupancy rates have dropped up to 20%, forcing chains to lower profit forecasts. The once reliable flow of Canadian vacationers and snowbirds has dried up, leaving thousands of rooms vacant. For workers, housekeepers, servers, airline staff, the fallout is personal: reduced hours, layoffs, and mounting uncertainty. Every 1% drop in international arrivals puts 140,000 American jobs at risk. With Canadian travel down by double digits, the human cost is mounting fast. The service economy's frontline workers are now collateral damage in a diplomatic standoff. Canadians aren't skipping US vacations by accident. It's a deliberate response to a hostile political climate. Trump-era tariffs and America First rhetoric have soured the US image, sparking a powerful Buy Canadian movement. Surveys show 91% of Canadians want to reduce economic ties with the US, and 85% are actively spending their money at home. Stories of tough border crossings and feeling unwelcome have spread, turning the US from a friendly getaway into a source of hassle. Families who once flocked to Florida or New York are now exploring Canada instead. The new tariffs make US goods pricier, but for many it's about principle and national pride. Why vacation where you don't feel wanted? The American holiday has lost its appeal, replaced by unease and indignation. The numbers are staggering. In 2024, Canadian visitors spent over $20 billion in the US, but a 40% drop in 2025 has already wiped out $12.5 billion. Factoring in declines from other markets, the US tourism industry could lose over $29 billion this year. A sustained 15% drop in international visitors could threaten over 1 million service sector jobs. Airline bookings on Canada-US routes have plunged by up to 76%, and land crossings are down as much as 35%. Every missed flight and empty car at the border means lost income for hotels, restaurants, and shops. Tariffs meant to protect American industry are backfiring, driving up costs and fueling inflation. Customs duties hit a record $29.5 billion, pushing prices higher for food, clothes, and airfare. Yale's Budget Lab warns these policies could push nearly 875,000 more Americans into poverty by 2026. The absence of Canadian tourists is hitting cities and small towns alike. In New York, Broadway ticket sales are down, and hotels struggle with vacancies. Orlando's theme parks face a surge in canceled tickets, and Las Vegas casinos are feeling the pinch. Border towns are even harder hit. Duty-free stores and small businesses have lost up to 80% of their revenue. For many, this isn't just a downturn, it's an existential threat. The crisis has a human face: the small business owner forced to lay off staff, the hotel worker with slashed hours, the actor facing fewer opportunities. These aren't just numbers, they're livelihoods. Communities built on open borders are now struggling to survive. The economic pain is real and it's everywhere. The tourism crisis threatens America's future as a host for global events like the 2026 FIFA World Cup and 2028 Olympics. Billions are being spent on stadiums and infrastructure, but declining tourism could turn these investments into liabilities. Success depends on international fans, but if the US remains unwelcoming, many may stay away. Canada, a co-host for the World Cup, faces its own dilemma. Will Canadian fans cross the border? The vision of North American unity is at risk, replaced by division and empty seats. These events test a nation's soft power, its ability to attract and inspire. If the US continues to alienate allies, it risks financial loss and reputational damage. The games will go on, but who will be there to watch? Industry leaders and experts are sounding the alarm. America's tourism crisis could take years to fix. The U.S. Travel Association calls it unprecedented, warning that trust, once lost, is hard to regain. Dr. Evelyn Reed of Brookings says, "We're placing a tariff on our own hospitality industry, and the results are devastating." The most powerful voices are Canadian travelers themselves. Why spend money where you're not welcome? Many are choosing Europe, the Caribbean, or exploring Canada instead. Travel agencies report U.S. bookings have fallen off a cliff. It's not about price, but principle. The message is clear. America's approach is alienating its largest, most loyal customer base. The feedback is direct and unambiguous. The U.S. is now a hard sell. This isn't just an economic problem, it's a threat to America's global standing. For generations, the U.S. was a beacon of openness and opportunity, building goodwill with visitors from around the world. That goodwill is evaporating, especially with Canada, America's closest ally. The world is watching. If the U.S. treats its neighbor poorly, what about everyone else? Competing destinations are stepping in, and new travel habits are forming. The U.S. can no longer take its top-tier status for granted. If America is seen as unpredictable, investors and tourists will look elsewhere. The lesson: prosperity depends on openness and partnership, not isolation. The way out starts with ending the trade war, especially with Canada. Tariffs must be re-evaluated and removed, and political leaders need to signal a new direction. America must repair its brand, not just with ads, but with real policy changes and diplomatic outreach. Streamlining visas, public-private partnerships, and targeted campaigns can help rebuild trust. The message: America is open for business, and the world is welcome. The tourism industry needs support, relief for small businesses, and incentives to lure travelers back. Remind Canadians of the shared experiences and friendships that define the relationship. American prosperity is tied to its global relationships. To protect jobs and restore the economy, the U.S. must rebuild the bridges it's burned. Thanks for watching. Subscribe the channel for more updates.